Have we reached a turning point in the MCU with the Thunderbolts, or is this just Superman 4 again? So Marvel is back with the Thunderbolts. In a time where the Avengers are no more, the only heroes left are the ones you probably don't want. Directed by Jake Schreier, who was the director behind the Netflix hit Beef and his films like Paper Towns and Robot and Frank, with writers who worked on films like Thor Ragnarok, the Black Widow film, and again, the Beef TV series and The Bear. This Marvel movie has a very different feel than, say, a movie like Captain America Brave New World, which was pretty much a dumpster fire, by the way. The film starts with Florence Pugh as Yelena, Black Widow's sister and one of the assassins trained in the Red Room, sitting on a skyscraper ledge wondering what her life has become. She feels completely alone, still mourning the death of her sister, and absolutely hates her life. And she hates the fact that she is still doing shady work for a shadow ops organization called Ops, run by Valentina, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. When she's told to go on one last mission to a secured vault of the organization to stop someone from stealing secrets from Ops, she realizes that all the other secret ops agents are told the same thing and that it's a trap, where they're caught in a situation where they are all there to kill each other, leaving no evidence of Ox whatsoever. While they are there, they figure out that they were all told the same thing and that they'll all have to be incinerated with all of the damning evidence against the Ops organization. And then they meet Bob, played by Lewis Pullman. They decide that they have to work together to get out of the vault and figure out what the deal is with Bob, and ending up becoming part of the team, which is now the Thunderbolts. This film actually really caught me by surprise. After seeing the last Captain America movie, I thought we were absolutely done. I really thought that film was going to tank the whole franchise, but here comes the Thunderbolts. I wasn't sure about the first hour of this film, and again, I was a little skeptical after the last Marvel movie. It's not that the first part was bad. It was a lot of fun to watch, and there are some great action scenes and some great dialogue, but they were in that vault for half of the movie, and it felt kind of like a long time. For a minute, I thought the whole film was going to take place in this vault, and I was getting a little worried, to be honest. The film has only 2 or 3 locations, but it does work and doesn't make the film confusing. The story is simple, but not too simple where it's insulting to the audience, and the story is actually pretty smart. It has a meaning that I was not expecting from a Marvel film. It's sort of Marvel's Suicide Squad, where these guys are pretty much complete losers, but what they have that the Suicide Squad doesn't have is shame and regret. They really struggle with their past not being good enough in a world full of heroes. They deal with depression and loneliness, and it plays into the message of the movie. And again, a Marvel movie with a real, usable, sustainable message that is heartwarming and sort of deep was really refreshing. Thinking about it now, there is a huge contrast to how the characters relate and feel about each other compared to the end of the film. And that was sort of expected, but in the beginning, you really don't like these guys at all. And you wonder if they can actually be any sort of hero type. John Walker, who was the second-hand Captain America U.S. agent played by Wyatt Russell, is so unlikable in the beginning of this movie that at the end of the film, I was shocked that I was actually rooting for him. All the characters felt like B characters that I really didn't care about, and then the film changes your mind completely, and they redeem themselves. But they do it in a way that has a lot of impact, and you feel for these characters. This Marvel movie has so much heart that, again, was completely unexpected. One of the last scenes of the movie gave me the feels in a big way. It gave me the chills a little bit. It was kind of wild seeing this. I mean, not only from a Marvel film, but comic book characters who were not the cool A-listers. David Harbour, of course, steals the show as Red Guardian, and you hang on every word waiting for him to say the funniest thing. And honestly, what he says isn't that funny, but the way he delivers the lines are hilarious and endearing. And when he makes these huge, exaggerated facial expressions and movements, you just want to see more of them. There are lines in the movie that he says that are kind of cliche, like, "That's what I talking about," And that Russian accent probably wouldn't be funny if anyone but Daniel Harbour delivered it. I loved his character, this washed-up Russian super soldier who is now a limo driver in Baltimore. He misses the glory of serving his country, and like the rest of the team, unhappy with his life and struggles with living in the past. This film, and The Red Guardian in particular, is a great representation of the MCU right now. In its heyday, it was this amazing storytelling hero with great films like Iron Man and Captain America: Winter Soldier, and then it went downhill fast after Endgame. And like Red Guardian, who was this incredible hero in the Soviet Union at one time, is now living in a crappy one-bedroom apartment in Baltimore working in as this limo driver. He became useless and sort of embarrassing, like a lot of these characters in the film. But then they become something great and move on from their mistakes. And I hope that's kind of what Marvel is doing right now. And I hope that this film is the start to some better storytelling and filmmaking for the MCU. These characters represent kind of the past few movies after Endgame. Even though Harbour is a scene stealer, Florence Pugh is the center of this group and does an amazing job carrying the story. I loved her character more here than I did in Black Widow in the Disney Plus show Hawkeye. What she deals with in this film, we can really relate to, and that makes you want to root for her character. The first scene of the film is her sitting on a ledge, talking about her sadness and regret and that she feels worthless and has no meaning. And then she jumps off the building, but of course she's wearing a parachute and she's actually on a mission. But there's a lot of weight to that scene, and the fact that the jump was real and not a CGI effect made the scene feel more authentic, giving more emotion to the story and a little bit of humor. I love that this Marvel movie had practical effects. That is so rare these days in these movies. There's a scene where they actually blow up a floor on a building, and it's a really quick scene that they could have gotten away with CGI, but they actually cared enough about this film to do it the way they did, and it was impressive, and I respected what they did a lot. There's a lot of CGI in this film, don't get me wrong, but most of the CGI was needed and probably couldn't have been done without it, but the film doesn't rely on these effects, and I really respect that. The film's plot sort of reminded me of films like RoboCop 2, a lot, where, again, you have someone trying to recreate another super soldier based off of Captain America, and it doesn't work because Steve Rogers was a certain kind of guy that, with his morals and personality, it actually works, but just with any other person, it can go horribly wrong. Again, like RoboCop's Alex Murphy in contrast to RoboCop 2's Kane. Valentina sort of felt like Lex Luthor in Superman 4 now that I think about it. And her super soldier creation was a lot like Nuclear Man. And the outfit kind of looked the same too. There's one scene that feels like it's taken right out of the Quest for Peace. But unlike Superman 4, this scene works. And it's done a whole lot better than that horrible film. But it's still stole from that film, I think. There's a lot of callbacks to the original Avengers movie, like being based in New York. You see a lot of the props that were used in that movie, and you get the Avengers Tower, which was really cool to see again. I loved how they did that. It kind of brings everything full circle and keeps the Avengers fresh in your mind. They didn't really explain Valentina's Ox organization, though, which a little backstory would have been nice. In other films and a few of the series, they made her look like this Nick Fury secret ops person recruiting these B superhero people, I guess. But with Fury, you get a lot of backstory of who S.H.I.E.L.D. is, and this film didn't do that. I don't know if they really had time to. Maybe that was the problem. There are a lot of interesting surprises and turn of events at the end of the film that were a lot of fun. And the closing credits, there are some fun newspaper headlines and magazine articles about the new team that I actually really loved. There are 2 post-credit scenes, with the second one being very important to the franchise, and it's a lot of fun. I really hope this is a turning point for Marvel, and this is where we start to see the embers of the fire from a phoenix that's about to rise from the Marvel ashes of this franchise. Thunderbolts is a lot of fun. It has a lot of great action, great characters that you can't stand in the beginning of the film, but root for at the end. Is a great message about becoming more than you think you are and letting go of regrets and your past and shame to be the person you were meant to be. It does have its flaws, but it is a solid MCU film that I'm looking forward to seeing again. I'm giving Thunderbolts 4 stars out of 5 because even though the first hour is probably a 3-star rating, the third act really delivers the film. Thunderbolts is rated PG-13 for strong violence, suggestive drug use, and some language, but it really was a fun time at the movies. Let me know what you thought of the Thunderbolts in the comments. Thank you again for liking and subscribing to the channel. And as always, don't wait till it streams. Let's go to the theater and let's see it together.
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
God, thank you.